Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
So we went through the effort of working with Formula One, shooting the movie during real Grand Prix with real crowd in the stands, put Brad and Damson in real race cars on the track during those weekends.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind.
Buying a new car can feel overwhelming, especially when average prices hovering near $50,000. But there are still strong options that won't wreck your budget. Today, Joe Buzek from Cars.com is here, and their picks for the best new cars under $30K across sedans, hybrids, hatchbacks, and even SUVs. Joe, thanks for letting us swerve into your lane and joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So, Joe, as you pulled this list together, is there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, you know, for under $30,000, you're not going to be driving a bucket of bolts. Our team of expert reviewers, we drove these cars, we have hands-on experience with them, and they are nice cars. They are substantial cars that don't feel cheap. They're affordable, but they're not cheap. You're going to be getting standard touchscreens that are very high quality, standard safety features, and in-car technology that people should expect and that we want people to have.
There you go. Well, with the big, I could imagine the list was like a laundry list. But what qualities set the winners apart from other cars in the same price range?
So oftentimes you'll see a deal out there or a, bottom basement price, but they aren't available. Well, we wanted to pick cars where people could go out and find them. So we looked at national inventory across dealerships and identified cars under $30,000 that you can actually go find. And then we also, these are cars that we want to recommend to our friends and family. So they meet a minimum threshold of safety technology and crash test worthiness. We excluded cars that had known poor crash test ratings.
For someone watching their spending, what kind of compromises should they expect?
You're not going to be finding massaging seats or perfume dispensers in this class of vehicles. What you are going to find, though, are sizable vehicles. You think subcompact, you think compact, and yeah, that's on the small side of what's available. But actually, those sizes are much larger than they were 10 or 15 years ago. A car like the Chevy Equinox, you can use for a small family. It fits car seats really well. So, even though we're talking about subcompact and compact cars, these aren't really small economy cars like you would think of, decades past.
Well, most of the time when you go with the lower price, it means that you lose out on modern tech. Is that the case for this situation? No,
not at all. So one of the features that we know consumers are expecting and that we like so much is Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. And that's going to take your smartphone, it's going to mirror those apps and navigation to the screen in the car. And that's all available on these cars. It's also, these cars are going to come with safety features like forward collision warning with automatic braking, and also advanced driver assist features like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. And those features people aren't expecting, but we know that when they use them, they're super excited to use them, just with how it helps with driver fatigue and safety when you're on the road.
Well, the future is beautiful. We don't have flying cars yet, but this sounds like some great options here. So let's talk about it, though. The end of the year, I've watched the market for years. As we get into a new year, usually this is the ideal time to shop for a car. Is that the case?
You're absolutely right. End of the year is a great time to buy a car. In fact, anytime dealers are motivated to sell is a good time to buy. So end of month, end of year. Also, if you're looking at a particular vehicle, be aware that there's going to be a model year changeover from 2025 to 2026. And when that happens, if there aren't many changes to the 2026, you can typically get a good deal on the 2025. And that doesn't happen at the same time every year like it did many years ago. That happens throughout the entire year. So find the car you're interested in, see if you can match up with that 2025 to 2026 changeover, and you can very much get a deal on that old one.
Well, you look like a quarterback in a huddle with all those beautiful all-stars around you. Talk to us about what you got over there.
Yeah, one of the cars I'm really excited made the list is the Toyota Corolla Hybrid. Now, the Corolla Hybrid has up to 50 miles per gallon ratings, and in our inventory, you can find them for around $26,000. And compared to the fuel economy of your average car, that's going to save you thousands of dollars over the long run. Another car that I wanted to highlight is the Chevy Equinox. You know, that is a sizable vehicle and has this just wonderful touchscreen with Google built in, and that will link with your Google account and pair a bunch of features, and it's a touchscreen that you would expect to find in a more expensive vehicle, but you're finding it in this sub $30,000 class.
Beautiful cars behind you. As you can tell, red and gray is my color, so those stuck out. But let's talk about all of the picks that you have. Where can people go to see those?
Yeah, you can find the entire list at cars.com/news.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time and helping us out with that this year.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Have you ever felt completely sidelined by hot flashes and wondered if that's just something you have to live with? For many women, menopause symptoms can seriously disrupt sleep, work, and daily life. Today, we're joined by Dr. Diana Bittner, Chief Medical Officer of True Women's Health, along with Wendy Lee Curtis, a patient advocate sharing her personal experience. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Wendy, what has your experience been like living with moderate to severe hot flashes due to menopause?
Oh gosh, every woman's experience is different, right? So I have what you would call moderate to severe hot flashes, and they can pop up at any time, right? I have no idea when it's going to happen. It can happen anytime, any place. And when they're severe, it really impacts my life, both at home, at work, with friends. Not a fan.
Dr. Bittner, for women listening right now, what do moderate to severe hot flashes actually feel like, and how do they know when symptoms may be more serious?
Sure. So moderate hot flashes are those that start at the chest. It can be a full series of warmth feelings with distraction and sweating. So those severe hot flashes or vasomotor symptoms cause sweating and distraction. They can really stop a woman in her tracks.
There's a new FDA-approved option called Linquet. What is it, and what did the clinical trials show?
Sure. So Linquet is an FDA-approved hormone-free prescription for moderate to severe hot flashes due to menopause. The FDA approval is supported by data from the phase 3 clinical trials, and the studies assess the safety and efficacy of Linquet.
And what should women know about the safety of Linquet?
So the safety was carefully studied, and there are side effects that women should know about, including women who are pregnant should not take Linquet. Serious side effects can include nervous system effects, such as if you have a risk of seizures, it could increase the risk of seizures. And common side effects include headache, fatigue, dizziness, drowsiness, stomach pain, rash, or diarrhea. And I recommend that people refer to the product information for more information at linquet.com.
Wendy, what would you say to someone who's struggling with these symptoms and feels unsure about their options?
I am not on Linquet, but I would encourage women to be relentless, absolutely relentless in seeking support for their symptoms. Please don't be afraid to bring up what's going on, what your symptoms are, and ask if there are options for you. It might take a little bit of time to find exactly what works for you, but it's absolutely worth it. So please, please keep speaking up until you find what you need to get that relief.
And where can our viewers go to learn more?
People can visit linquet.com, which is LYNKUET.com. And certainly I encourage people to talk to their doctor to find out more if Linquet is the right option for them.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ever feel like sadness lingers longer than it should, or that someone you love just isn't quite themselves? Major depressive disorder affects millions of Americans, and it often looks different from person to person. Joining us today is Amy Belknap, a board-certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, here to walk us through the signs of MDD and what treatment options look like today. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me.
For viewers watching at home, what are some of the common signs and symptoms of major depressive disorder, and just how common is it?
Major depressive disorder affects 22 million adults in the United States. That is a huge number and a huge impact. And so I am so grateful to be able to work with Johnson & Johnson to educate people on the signs and symptoms of major depressive disorder and some of the treatment options that have come out to help treat it. Major depressive disorder affects the way people think, the way they act, the way they feel, the way they perceive the world. It can be devastating to the individual and their family, but also to the community and the country. It has a tremendous economic burden. It is the #1 cause of disability in the United States.
When someone is diagnosed with MDD, what treatment options are typically available right now?
Traditionally, people are placed on an oral antidepressant to start with. And we know that even people who are on treatment with oral antidepressants, 2 out of 3 reports ongoing or residual symptoms or breakthrough depression symptoms. We know that MDD or major depressive disorder is a very complex disorder. It affects multiple areas of the brain. There are multiple variables involved in treatment and treatment response. And so it's super important that we continue to research and study and come up with new and differentiated treatments to address these symptoms. Research has shown that adjunct treatment or adding another medication can actually bolster the effect of the original and make both medications work better and be more effective at treating those residual or breakthrough symptoms.
We've heard about a recently approved treatment. What does that mean for patients who may still be struggling?
Caplyta, or lumateperone, was recently approved by the US FDA for the adjunct treatment with an oral antidepressant in adults with major depressive disorder. This has the potential to reset the way we think about treatment options in major depressive disorder. Now, there is no one size fits all. There's no cookie cutter in major depressive disorder, and there is no one medication that's going to be right for everybody. But Caplyta might be a good option, and that's what we need to have you follow up with your primary care provider, your healthcare provider, and have an open and honest conversation. Say, hey, is Caplyta right for me? And at that point, they can discuss those options, build a treatment plan that is specific for you, and also discuss some potential side effects such as dizziness, dry mouth, somnolence, and sedation. And so that's where that key is getting to that healthcare provider.
If someone has a loved one with MDD who hasn't found the right treatment yet, how can they best support them?
The best thing is to normalize that. Have an open and frank conversation. Say, I've noticed you're not enjoying the things you used to enjoy. I've noticed you're not participating in the things you used to participate in. Is something going on? And try to just normalize it, make it okay. And say, hey, how can I help you? I'll help you make the phone call to your healthcare provider. I'll go with you if you'd like. I'll help you work through this process and make it part of that partnership with you and that person that you care about, because your healthcare provider really is an expert in you. And so they can help tailor a treatment plan that works for the symptoms that you currently experience.
Where can people go to learn more and find helpful resources?
I found Caplyta.com to be a very helpful resource. It helps give me questions and concepts to discuss with your healthcare provider. But as always, Caplyta.com is a fabulous resource, but as always, please follow up with your healthcare provider. They are the expert in you.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and have a marvelous holiday season.
You as well.
There's something electric about a film that makes you feel like you're right there on the track. And F1, the movie, has been delivering that rush ever since it hit Apple TV. It's already the highest grossing sports movie of all time, packed with real Grand Prix racing and a story led by Brad Pitt that hits just as hard as the action. So today we're joined by Joseph Kosinski, the filmmaker who brought this world to life. Joseph, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I love the hat. Thank you for representing.
Hey, I got my Apex Grand Prix hat. I'm excited about this movie. It did really well. I was a big fan of it. For anyone catching up at home, how do you describe the F1 movie and the experience you wanted viewers to feel at the moment those engines pretty much start?
Well, Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes, a driver that was supposed to be kind of a young phenom in the 1990s. He has this horrific accident that derails his career. But now in 2025, his old dear friend, played by Javier Bardem, finds him in Daytona, Florida, and pulls him back into the world of F1 for a second chance at redemption as he joins a underdog team called Apex GP that has to win only one race to save the team, but they're up against Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes and all the titans of this incredible sport. So it's a story about redemption, second chances, underdogs. You know, even if you know nothing about racing, we'll teach you everything you need to know about F1 and hopefully turn you into a fan.
And you filmed during real Grand Prix weekends, right inside the chaos of the sport. What did that give you creatively that you couldn't recreate anywhere else? And also, were there any challenges?
Yeah, there's nothing like the energy of a real Formula One event. Anyone who's been to one of these races knows it's like a 3-day festival of speed. And it's not something that you could create with CGI, even though we have all these amazing tools. There would be, you just wouldn't be able to capture the essence and make it feel as real as it is. So we went through the effort of working with Formula One, shooting the movie during real Grand Prix with real crowd in the stands, put Brad and Damson in real race cars on the track during those weekends. And I think we captured something really special. Usually we'd have hours or days to shoot a scene, as many takes as you want. In this case, we'd only get 7 to 9 minutes to shoot these scenes. So the actors had to be on point, the crew had to be ready. And so that was a massive challenge I've never faced before, but I think the result speaks for itself.
And at the center of all this speed, there's this bond and rivalry between Brad Pitt's veteran driver character and Damson, who's the rising star. What drew you to that relationship as the emotional core?
Well, the interesting thing about Formula One is that your teammate is often your greatest rival. And it's something that we see every day on every team in F1. And that, to me, made this a really unique story and a unique sport. So capturing that rivalry of two people that are against each other, but then learn to work together. And when you've got a whole team working together in unison, anything's possible. And so it's really a story about teamwork. Which is, I think something that we all can relate to.
And the film's authenticity has been a big talking point, especially with Lewis Hamilton involved behind the scenes. What were the details that you felt most responsible for absolutely getting right?
Well, listen, Lewis was a huge help on all the technical details, going down to what gear the car should be in for every corner. I mean, we got it down to that level. But what he was most helpful was really the more spiritual side of racing and what it is that makes these guys do what they do week in and week out. So there's a really important scene in this film where Brad is on the balcony kind of talking about why he races. And a lot of that was taken directly from Lewis himself. And that's something we just wouldn't have gotten any other way.
And the soundtrack has taken off globally. Hans Zimmer, man.
Yeah, he's the best.
How did the music shape the way you kind of built that tension and energy throughout the movie?
Yeah, well, Hans Zimmer, obviously one of the greatest composers working. I knew I wanted this film to have a really memorable theme and melody, and that's something Hans does better than anyone. You take that theme and you work it through different variations throughout the film, but also integrating in an incredible soundtrack with artists from all around the world into the film was a huge challenge. I have a great team at Skywalker Sound that mixed it all together. So the amount of talent, that was brought together to make this film is just amazing.
Joseph, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. F1, the movie, is now streaming on Apple TV. So if you miss it in theaters or if you want to feel that rush again, you can pretty much dive in anytime. Joseph, thanks for joining me today, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
The holidays get busy fast. And with all the decorations and treats around, it's easy to forget that our pets might get into things that they shouldn't. Today, we're talking with Dr. Susan Kimmel from VCA Animal Hospitals about the common holiday hazards to watch out for. Dr. Kimmel, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So what holiday hazards do pet owners run into most often?
Some of the hazards are those right in our home, things that we bring into the home during the holidays. Think about decorations on the tree. We would really prefer to opt for shatterproof ornaments and just get rid of the tinsel altogether because those things can be very harmful if ingested. Also, some ornaments that dogs will try to eat are the edible ones, things made of things like salt dough or popcorn and cereal strings. You want to keep those high up on the tree to keep them out of paw's reach. Gift giving, obviously we all love that, but when the unwrapping happens, get rid of that paper and ribbon and string right away. It's adorable to watch a cat play with some ribbon, but not so fun when they ingest it and they get very sick from that. And I'd also mention fire. We all love a nice warm fireplace this time of year. Candles lit, they're beautiful, but they do pose a burn hazard for our pets. So make sure that they are far out of reach of those potential sources of injury.
So we know poinsettias can be an issue, but what other trees or plants should we be careful with?
Poinsettias, they're beautiful, and I love them myself, but, not only those, but mistletoe, holly, amaryllis, those plants are all potentially going to cause some gastrointestinal upset if your pet ingests them. So it's really just best to keep them out of your pet's reach. They're in the home, that's fine. Just make sure they're nowhere near where your pet can access them. And as far as the tree, luckily most Christmas trees are not toxic. But we do have to think about the water in the base of that tree. That water can contain fertilizers as well as grow mold and harbor bacteria. And unfortunately, our pets do tend to like to try to drink out of that water. So it's really important to try to keep them out of that water, even just a tree skirt that covers up the opening, but just make sure they're not drinking that water.
What holiday foods are the most dangerous for pets, and what should someone do if their pet eats one of them?
So the foods that you and I might eat without a problem, some of them can be very toxic to pets, including things like chocolate, onions, grapes, raisins, and xylitol, which is a sugar substitute in a lot of sugar-free treats, very toxic to our pets. So we want to make sure they avoid those altogether. If you find that your pet has gotten into those things, you actually don't want to wait for them to see if they get sick, because by the time that happens, it may be too late to help them as much as you could. So in those situations, you do want to contact a veterinarian and even come in through the emergency room. Right now, VCA is offering 50% off a emergency visit for any client now through January 9th. And that's because we want to help people be prepared if they find themselves in this type of unforeseen situation.
And explain this to me like I'm a pet who refuses instructions. Why exactly are leftovers and table scraps such a no-go?
Yeah, this is so hard because, we know that people love to give their pets something extra special because we love them. And we also know, you give your pet a little bit of this and a little bit of that on occasion. And a lot of the times they do okay, but unfortunately not all the times do they. So we really want to just be cautious. Foods that are fattier or rich or just new to them, if they're not used to eating a certain food and they get it out of the blue, that can cause some significant gastrointestinal upset. So it's really best just to avoid giving it, and definitely warn your guests politely to please not feed your pets under the table, because they're well-meaning as well, but it could hurt your pet.
What extra steps should owners take when taking their pets out in the cold?
At this time of year, depending on where we are, the ice and the snow, it can be very chilly with the wind chill. So it's important to think about, if you're cold, your pet may be cold too. So think about a sweater or a jacket, and for their feet too. They may want to, you may want to put booties on them, which will also protect them from the ice and the salt, which can be harmful to their feet. And also consider the fact that it's a lot darker when we're walking them in the morning and the evening now, so stick to well-lit paths. Consider having some reflective, high-visibility clothing, not only on yourself, but also on your pet. And always keep them on a leash, ideally a non-retractable leash for their safety.
And finally, for anyone who wants more information or maybe has a dog who eats tinsel recreationally, where should they go?
So I would, you can start now by just going to vcaholiday.com just to get more information and tips about this holiday season. But that does also give you the option to get that 50% off coupon for one ER visit for any client. For those of you that are already, that have already had all your pets' exams and everything up to date, that's great. But for a lot of people this time of year, going into the new year is a great reminder to get on top of that stuff for the new year. First exams are free for any new client at VCA. And also preventative care, just have a preventative care sort of wellness mindset for your pet going into the new year. VCA also offers Care Club, which is a membership that offers exclusive unlimited exams and discounts, including free urgent and emergency visits year-round for Care Club members. You can go to vcahospitals.com for more information on that.
Dr. Kimmel, thanks for being here with me today. And I have to say this, happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too, and thank you for having me.
Do you ever notice how holiday gatherings look a little different these days? People are mixing non-alcoholic options, lighter twists on classics, and really trying to make hosting feel balanced for everyone. Today, we're joined by Anna Fitzgibbons and Fernando Souza from Diageo North America, here to share what's shaping modern holiday hosting and walk us through a simple live demo you could try at home. Anna, Fernando, welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
You're doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, Fernando, can you walk us through the top holiday hosting trends you're seeing this year?
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having us. So social occasions and social interactions are really taking more of a mindful approach with a focus on balance, wellness, and intention. And with that comes empowerment. And really what I like to think the leading trend is choice, making sure that consumers understand that there's choices no matter where they are, hosting at home, out in bars and restaurants, or even at your holiday party. Being able to really understand those choices between full serve alcohol cocktails, lower alcohol cocktails, and of course, non-alcoholic cocktails. Those are really, really trending right now.
And keeping those trends in mind, what are you going to show us today in your little demo?
Yeah, so today we're going to be showcasing a cocktail called the Citrus Flame, and that is a vodka-based cocktail utilizing the Smirnoff Spicy Tamarind Vodka. We're also utilizing a staple this month, which I'm sure everyone has in their freezer right now, getting ready for the holidays, and that's vanilla bean ice cream. I recommend as a pro tip just to melt that ice cream before throwing it in your cocktail shaker with everything else. But again, that spicy tamarind vodka, a little bit of vanilla bean ice cream, a touch of cane sugar, and freshly squeezed lime juice. That's just going to balance everything out. We're going to put that in a shaker tin filled with ice, give it a little shake. Don't forget to smile, okay? Perfect, all right. Just want to shake it 5 to 10 seconds. You really want to make sure you emulsify all those ingredients together. And then grab your favorite cocktail glass. I love these beautiful Nick and Nora glasses. It really just elevates and gives it a nice elegance to this cocktail serve. And look at that color pop. It's like really, really beautiful and decadent for this time of year. But of course, it wouldn't be the holidays without a proper holiday garnish. So that's what we have for you today, with a little bit of dark chocolate shavings just right on top, and then some aromatics and a little pop of color with some lime zest. And you can find this recipe in our Serve and Sip book, which Anna will run you through a little bit on that as well.
All right, so what are some ways that people can practice more mindful hosting this holiday season?
Yeah, so mindfulness is all about intentionality and it's all about caring. And so I always like to think if I'm hosting, I'm taking care of those who I've welcomed into my home. And that means really thinking about their journey from the moment they walk in through the door to the moment they leave. So I like to welcome my guest with a non-alcoholic cocktail so that everyone feels included as they're coming in. And then I like to have a couple of different options for them, maybe a theme if I'm feeling super festive, and tie those cocktails, whether they're non-alcoholic, lower alcohol, or traditional ones, with my food pairings. Offer some water. It can be some infused water. That's a really fun way to kind of have some fun and show off. And then I also like to make sure that they have a safe plan to get home. So really welcoming them and making sure they leave responsibly. But in between, my favorite tip is kind of counterintuitive. And that is, if people are enjoying an alcoholic beverage, don't let them, don't top off their drink before giving them a new cocktail. That seems again counterintuitive. You think, oh, empty glass, I may not be performing as well as I could be as a host. That's actually perfectly fine. By letting them finish their one drink before pouring a new one, you're helping them keep track of how much alcohol they're actually consuming. And that way they can decide whether they want to zebra stripe for the evening or if it's maybe time to call it a night.
Excellent. All right, where can our viewers go if they want more tips and maybe some resources?
Yeah, so if you want to find out how to make this amazing cocktail, which by the way smells so good, and can be made with no alcohol or lower alcohol, as can any other cocktail in our book, it is absolutely free at diageo.com/serve-and-sip3. That's Diageo, diageo.com/serve-and-sip, and the number 3 because it is our 3rd volume. And if you want to know more about how alcohol affects your mind and body, you can visit drinkiq.com.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. Go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.